Welcome to episode 84 of Entrepreneur in the Spotlight, brought to you by the Play Inspired Podcast. Welcome, my friends, to episode 84 of Entrepreneur in the Spotlight. And today we are hanging out with the one and only Jessica Riverson. Jessica is the founder of Permission to Charge. She built a community of go-getting coaches by encouraging them to start charging their worth. Okay, and then this is a powerful episode. She shared quite some powerful tips and tricks with us here in this episode. Okay, mainly she showed us how you could have permission to receive from the universal source, how you could get rid of the guilt for charging your worth. Okay, and how you could have 5-figure months without having to consistently go through launches, because we all know launches take a lot of time and take a lot of work. So in this episode, she shows us how you could have 5-figure months without having to consistently do launches, right? And then she shows us the power of daily mindset practice and how you could be receiving at the highest level. Guys, this is a very powerful episode. It's going to be amazing. So without further ado, let's all hang out with Jessica Riverson. How's it going, everyone? It's Judith here, and welcome to episode 84 of Entrepreneur in the Spotlight. And tonight, we're hanging out with the one and only Jessica Riverson. Jessica here is the founder of Permission to Charge. She built a community of go-getting coaches by showing them how they could start charging based on their worth. Right? By showing them what they're worth, really. So Jessica, give us a little bit of an intro and give us a little sneak preview of what it's like inside your world.
Oh, hey, well, thank you so much for having me here. So Permission to Charge was created a few years ago now. I myself started out as a coach, and it was my second business. So I already had a successful franchise that I was running. I was a single mom, and I was really passionate about getting my coaching business going. And I really struggled to charge on the value, right? So I was way undercharging, and I started resolving that and healing the whole money story and just healing all the areas inside of me that told me I wasn't good enough. And as I started doing that and my business started growing and growing, I realized, I kind of looked around and I was like, wow, all of my colleagues, all of these other amazing coaches out there and healers and consultants and different like holistic practitioners, all of them were struggling with the same thing. And so I remember I was giving a talk, and this woman in the audience, she shouted, "Permission to Charge." And so I ran home and I drove home. And I was like, I have to get home and buy that domain before anyone else does. It's like really kind of silly, but it was just, it like rung in my ears. And I knew that message was going to resonate with people. And so I ended up rebranding and building my entire business around helping women, specifically who are in coaching, holistic services, healing, to understand how to price based on the value. And what has happened, what that's turned into, you said, give a sneak preview of what life is like, in my world. What that looks like now is leading these amazing women who have a lot of times many credentials, many accomplishments under their belt, and yet they know they have this like bigger level for themselves. It's not just money, it's also just truly owning what their gift is, and to help them lift that money ceiling and really receive at a very high level financially, because they're serving at a really high level. And that to me is so much fun. I just got off a mastermind call with some of my top level clients, and even like really successful women who so many people would go, oh my gosh, I want to be at their level. They're still working through a money ceiling, maybe just like you could have $1 million business and still have a money ceiling.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of work that we do. There's a lot of strategy, but it's internal. The internal work has to happen. You could have all the best business strategy in the world, and it really won't matter if you don't handle the internal piece.
Yeah, that's something that I try to drill to everyone pretty much that I interact with, is that you could have the fanciest funnel, the fanciest website. You could be paying for all the top of the line services out there, but if you're not doing the mindset work or you're not doing the proper internal work, then none of that matters,
I
right?
love that you said that, because something that's been coming up a lot is for me to teach my clients that the funnel is not their source. So whether it's an automated webinar funnel like mine is, or it's a lead magnet type of funnel, or speaking is your funnel, like whatever is, there's a lot of different kind of funnels out there that work. The funnel itself is not your source. Like you being aligned with God, I mean, that's just as simple as, some people might call it different, but to me, it's God. Aligning with that source, that's the source. Like you need to align with source, not like the funnel can be your tool and you could use that tool.
Yeah.
But I think at the point where we get handicapped is if we think, you know, oh, I have to have the perfect funnel, or the funnel, like once I have the funnel, then I'll have all these clients, or once I, you know, get this in place, I get a big list, because we know people with big lists and they're still not, you know, making money. So once I get the big list, then I'll have it. But no, you have to decide first and foremost that you are the funnel, you are the source.
Yeah.
Then you could use all those strategies, or you could pick the one that suits you best and make it work for you.
Yeah. Yeah,
but if you put all your faith in something external, it's going to crash and burn. Or the moment that Facebook shuts your ad account down,
yeah,
right?
Now what? Yeah.
Then you're like, I'm screwed. It's like, no, that's not your source. So we cannot believe that and operate off of that.
Yeah, and the thing is, even like you said, you know, like say Facebook ads shut down, then that doesn't mean that, you know, everything comes to a grinding halt. Like you said, if you're, you know, like you just got to believe that there's really a reason why that's happening, and it's not like that's the only traffic source there is. If all your eggs are in that one basket, it's time to really, if all your eggs are in that one basket in the first place, then maybe it's time to start reconsidering splitting some of that up. So yeah,
that's a very good point as well. Yeah. That's a scary place to be if that's, you only have one source that's like one funnel.
Yeah, traffic source. Yeah. So you've told us you know, quite a vast topic there, but what exactly is your area of expertise? What's that one thing that you find that's the best one that you do?
Oh, I love this question. So I like to call it your soul superpower. And so I'm really good at helping people package their expertise and know how to receive the highest value for that. So to me, that's the heart of it. I have skills. Let me say this. I think there's a difference between your soul superpower, like that thing that you were born with and nobody can take away. Yeah. And then you have skills. I'm a really good copywriter. I'm really good with messaging. I'm really good with figuring out your business model and how to package everything. But underneath that, because those are skills I've learned over years of, you know, study. But what's underneath that is being able to see someone's gift and help them put it together and do the internal belief work that allows them to, like on the call that I just did, it was like by the end of the call, everyone was like, oh, like they were tapped into this infinite source where they didn't see any boundaries anymore of how high they could serve and even how high they could receive. It's not just about charge your worth, slap a zero on it. They were tapped into this sort of like higher level of what it means to charge your worth. Like that's sort of what everyone talks about these days. And I know people are getting sick of it. So I've started to shift the conversation because it's actually about, if I had to rebrand, I would rebrand as permission to receive. Yeah. You know, but I already got the registered trademark on permission to charge. So it's like, I have ladies that are charging, but they're not necessarily receiving. So they've stepped up and said, okay, I'm going to be the CEO of my company and I'm I'm going to charge my worth. I that's like, they got over that hump. Okay. Now I'm charging my worth, but they're still not receiving. So they're down here playing solopreneur, charging as the CEO, but they're still kind of like a slave to their business. So doing that internal work that frees you from that conundrum is what I feel is my superpower. It's like what lights me up and gives me energy.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that part of it. Everything else is external, you know, the funnel, the copy, your signature talk. I do all that, but the thing underneath that is the most important piece and the most fun.
Yeah. So this is something I just thought of right now, but what do you find is the most common misconception when it comes to that?
Charging your worth or
charging, receiving, right? Like, because there's so much in this lack of a better term, like woo-woo, as others refer to it, right? So what's the most common misconception in there? Because you can't just sit there and what's the most common misconception when it comes to receiving?
It's a little hard to tell you the top one because there's like 3 or 4 or 5 at the top.
Okay.
They're all like equally, but I would say something that we just discovered in our mastermind call. And again, these are like really financially successful women and very, very good at what they do. They're not newbies. They're not new to what they do. You know, if it's spiritual, you shouldn't charge money. Because I have a lot of women who are they would call themselves like woo-woo or whatever, you know, and so that's very common in like the spiritual, like if you're a healer or holistic or you do something like that, it's common that you're clued into that belief that if it's spiritual, you shouldn't charge for it. And so I would say that's like at the top. That's definitely at the top. Also, that's like this belief of who would pay that much, like that somehow it's bad or wrong, or like you should feel guilty. And I always say, like, you know, you shouldn't discriminate against numbers. If someone pays you if someone pays you $100, yay, $100. If someone pays you $1,000, awesome, $1,000. If someone pays you $100,000, awesome. Like, I don't discriminate about, like, I don't think one amount of money is better or worse than another amount of money. Like, we ascribe meaning to those numbers and decide we're good or bad, right or wrong based on those numbers. And it's like, they're just numbers. It's what you're aligned with. One person would be like, heck no, I'm not aligned with charging $100,000. And someone else, like at the end of our call, all the ladies were like, I am ready to receive $100,000 client. Yep. I'm aligned. And it's just like, it's what you allow. If you judge yourself and go, oh God, I would be a horrible person if I did that. That's just a story, you know, it's just, so I think it's the stories we make up about numbers, but that spiritual piece seems to be definitely at the top.
Yeah. Like, I'll be honest, it's the first time ever that I'll say this out loud, but sometimes I kind of feel guilty charging like $15,000 for some of my higher end coaching packages. But, you know, like, sometimes I catch myself like, why are you feeling guilty? You do know you wrote this program, you know the value of it. If anything, you're probably undercharging because this is really like, you know, so yeah. Well,
okay, that's such a good point, and thank you for saying that out loud. And I can honestly say I've had those every time I've gone to my next level of what I'm offering and what I'm charging. I go through that little transitional period where it brings up my stuff. Yay, it brings up my stuff, right? Because then I could look at it and I could work through it and coach through it. And then I get comfortable with it. And I think that that's normal, right? Because every higher level you go to, there's like a new layer of stuff that we didn't know. We like deservability, good enough, smart enough, like all kinds of stuff. We each have different stuff. But that is kind of the process, I think. And I love to help people through the next process because it brings up new stuff. You're like, oh, I thought I worked through all my permission to charge stuff. Oh no, it's vast. It's like, it goes forever. It's that onion that you could just like keep It's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's not really like it's not a one and done thing, right? Like there's always something that you're gonna uncover later on in the journey. It's
Mhm.
that's part of the personal development and personal growth journey. It's just part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's
Yeah.
fun to be in this business because it's technically it's not about money.
Mm,
Like if you talk to someone that's a health coach that works with people on their relationship with food, it's not about food. It's all a mirror to our relationship with ourselves. Money is a mirror. Relationships are a mirror. Food's a mirror. Anything that we use externally to anything that we calibrate to or make something external our source, or we make it mean something about us. It's just a mirror,
mm.
and it's like this really cool thing that we can learn about ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So now from there, we're gonna get a little bit personal. We're gonna get a little bit raw. Don't pull any punches back. Tell us about your rock bottom moment.
Okay. I've had too many, but I'm gonna just go with the one that really pops in my mind, and it's more recent. A couple years ago, like 2, 3 years ago, I was in a program and a coaching program where I was going around the world. I went to Paris and Australia, and I was like doing all the things that I thought I needed to do. Like I had a photo shoot in Paris, which I'm very proud of. It was a really awesome moment for me. But I was like really, really working hard.
Mm,
I had just had a baby like about 6 months earlier, maybe 8 months earlier. I was still breastfeeding. My husband was in between corporate contracts, so he was like Mr. Mom. From the time my daughter was born, he was pretty much the primary caregiver, which, usually it is the mom most of the time. We're more modern now, but I remember one time I cried to him and I'm like, I'm just the milkmaid, because I would like be in my office all day and I would just come out to like breastfeed basically. And I remember being in Australia and I was celebrating my first 30K month. I had private clients, and then I had created a mastermind. And so the mastermind allowed me to kind of leverage and go to the next level. And it was a 30K sales month. I didn't collect all that, but it was like pretty exciting to have this like 30K sales month. And I was so excited. And yet I was there in Australia and I was exhausted. It's like, I was working all the time and breastfeeding, and then you fly, takes a long time to get from Seattle, Washington to Australia. And my breast pump broke, right? I'm like in the hotel room, it breaks. And I'm like freaking out that I'm here for 5 more days by the time I get home. So this is personal. I'm like, maybe I won't have any milk left. And as a mom, you feel guilty about that because it's something you're giving to your baby and nobody else can really give it. And so it's like, that one thing that I'm feeling good about, now that's gone. What's going to happen? Am I going to come home a week later and not be able to provide this for my daughter? And so that was it was kind of like my high point because I was celebrating like this financial success, but it was also a low point because I just knew, like, I remember crying on stage to my mentor, like that I hated my business. I'm like, I'm celebrating something, but I'm also like, I'm just not happy, and so that was a low point of recognizing I had created a job. And like my dream business had kind of turned into a nightmare. That's really was a low point.
Yeah. How did you improve upon that moment? How did you move yourself start moving forward from there?
I didn't improve upon myself in that moment, but like over time there was definitely like I've changed it. There was the external and the internal. And I would say that what happened was I got another mentor. I learned about different business models. I learned that I could run my business without launching. That was the thing that was burning me out. And I didn't have a very big list. So I learned that I could, have 30, 40, 50K months without continually launching lower priced programs because my brand is permission to charge. So it made sense that I would focus on my higher end offerings I'm not saying anything bad about having lower end offerings, just my personal way I do my business and what I'm helping other people do is create these higher end kind of leverage group programs, masterminds. And so I learned that I could operate in an evergreen program model. So just from the external strategy standpoint, that was sort of like, like it made so much sense because my first business was a tutoring franchise and we could enroll people every day that wanted tutoring for their kids.
Yeah.
And I realized like, oh my God, like the whole world doesn't operate off of cart open, cart close. Why do I need to do that in my business? Why can't I have a program that I'm known for and I enroll people on a regular basis? So that was an external thing. That freed up a lot more of my time. I mean, initially it created more work because I had to put it together, but once I kind of got it going, that freed up a lot of my time. However, I did what I've been teaching my clients not to do now is I still was a solopreneur. So I like created this leverage business model, but then I was over here like doing everything and just kind of still being a slave to everyone and everything. And so the internal work had to be done and that's the receiving thing. And I did coaching with on feminine energy, how to receive, how to get out of your masculine energy and more balance your feminine energy. I took some priestess trainings. I like really dove into like working on myself. And so my approach changed and my energy changed. So I was able to, okay, now I've got this leverage business model. And now I've done the inner work and now they kind of can go together. And from there, I see it keep improving and improving and improving.
Yeah.
But that's basically what I did. I thought the business model was just going to solve everything, but I internally had to shift too.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's always that shift, right? That it all has to begin inside, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you've had that new business model, you've had that new strategies, none of that will matter. As we previously said, none of that would matter if you did not start doing internal work as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I kind of learned the hard way, but that's what it is.
Yeah. It's just part of the journey. Yeah. So what has been your biggest aha moment so far in your journey?
I'm going to go back to kind of what we've meant. The theme of this whole call is over the last 2 years, as I started to shift, my brand started to shift. It's still permission to charge, but like I said, the work has become more about receiving. So my biggest aha was in fact that, I mean, as I worked through it myself, I started really seeing my clients differently. And that's like, I had this aha moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're not allowing themselves to receive what they're charging. Like I'm empowering them to charge more, but they're still not allowing themselves. They're still like, they're not good enough and I don't deserve. And so they're overcompensating by being people pleasers and doing all this other stuff that they think that they have to do to be good and worthy. And so that's just been the aha, is to go, oh my gosh, that's really what the work is that needs to be done in the world. Because it goes beyond, again, just charging or whatever. And that's been really cool to see that by doing that deeper work, that women, men too, but like, let's just say women, because that's who I primarily focus on, is like, that's where we're going. And that's where we've been stuck, is we were told we could do whatever we want. And so now it's like, now we're having, like, all the women I know are making more than their husbands because we're like these badass, online entrepreneurs. And so then we bump up against all these issues around that. Do I really deserve? Is this okay? Can I charge this much? Am I supposed to have this much success? Am I, do I need to work and grind and hustle super, super hard? Or can I actually can I just own my gifts and receive at a high level and I don't have to necessarily hustle and grind so hard? Right. So that when I say receiving, some people might not get it. That's what I mean is, can you just own, this is what I offer you. This is the transformation I provide. And do I have to keep validating it and telling you why and doing backflips to prove that I'm really worth all that. So I think that's just been really cool to see. And everyone's talking about that now, feminine, masculine energy. It's like a thing now in the coaching world. And I think some people understand it better than others. Everyone wants to talk about it, but just like everyone wants to talk about charging your worth, some people really have gone through the fire and come out on the other side and are equipped to teach it. And some people are just talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm gonna squeeze something in here and see what you think of it, right? Like, it's just that it's been an ongoing conversation around the community, right? Like, I personally have done this before. I work like 20 hours per day straight, and and just scratch my head and be like, what the hell am I doing? Nothing's happening, no matter how hard I try. Yet as soon as I dialed back and I'm like, you know what? I'll try my best today. 9 o'clock, I'll turn off my computer. I don't care if I'm in the middle of something. As soon as that alarm goes off, I'll shut it down and continue again tomorrow. Right. So, and then everything just started flowing freely. Everything is much easier. Now, I know you've mentioned it a little bit, but do you honestly, sorry, not honestly, but do you also, not also, sorry, I can't find the right words right now. I'm just going with it right now. Do you believe that, like, it doesn't matter how hard you work, right? If sorry, I'm lost for words here, but it doesn't matter how hard you work. You don't necessarily have to work 20 hours per day to have that business manifest whatever it is that you want to manifest for your goals, for your businesses. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, I know to a certain extent we have to hustle. I don't really like that word, but yeah.
I don't really like that word either, although I've totally hustled. I think I've been willing to do whatever it takes. I mean, I have.
Yeah.
And okay, so to answer your question,
sorry. Yeah.
because it's like, we could talk about this for hours. Do you no, you don't have to put, I think what it is it's a decision.
Yeah.
Right. You can decide that you make $100,000 and you only work 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
When you decide that, your brain will help you figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so that's number one. It's like, we decide how it's going to work. We decide how to value. No one will value your gifts or your services until you do. So you teach, it's like the whole, you teach people how to treat you saying.
Yeah.
It's like, you teach people how much to pay you, right? Like, it's like you're training people how to respect you and receive your gifts. So but is there something to be said for putting in the time? Why does one person go faster at growing their business than another? Like, I've seen people that have grown their business way faster than me. We started the same level and they went like this. And then there's people, colleagues of mine, we started at this and I went like this and they're still here. So it's like, I look at it and go, well, obviously I had some more work to do why that person went faster than I did. And sometimes it was strategy. I had so much personal development stuff that stood in the way from me even understanding the strategy. Like, I kept wanting to reinvent the wheel. Here's the strategy, Jessica. Oh, I was over here reinventing the wheel. Just do it this way. I was over here being afraid. Do it this way. I was over here, like, making it harder. So did I put more time in? Well, yeah, because I made it really hard for myself. Yeah. But knowing what I know now, no, you don't have to work 20 hours a day. Yeah. I think if you're trying to get something up, like when I got my automated webinar funnel, I mean, I spent like a month just like focused on that. And I didn't really have a life right then. But now that's a leveraged thing for me. So it's not to say we're always talking about ease and flow. Well, that doesn't mean you don't pull an all-nighter sometimes. Yeah. Because you are wanting to get this thing done that's ultimately going to give you time freedom. Yeah. That's where people get all hung up. They're like, oh, I don't want to do all that marketing stuff. Well, if you're creating something that's going, like you're creating a funnel or a series of emails that's going to leverage your time later, you might need to put 20 hours in to get it done, or hire someone. You hire someone or you get it done, and you can either choose to suffer about it or not suffer about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as a general rule, working more hours doesn't make you more money. It's being strategic. It's owning your value.
Yes.
It's not like if you work harder than this. No, if you work smarter,
Then
then you get it.
Yeah.
You gotta work smarter.
Yeah, that's been a conversation that's been ongoing for a while, right? They was like, oh, hustle this, hustle that. I work I outwork everyone. I work 20 hours a day I've been working 20 hours a day for 6 months straight. I was like, how are you still alive?
Well, the part of my story I didn't tell you is that I got an autoimmune disease. So I don't even know why that didn't occur to me as my rock bottom, but there you go. There's my like ultimate rock bottom is I've always been pretty healthy, recognizing that I was given this label of this autoimmune thing, which I know I'm more powerful than any label, but so everyone can go work 1 million hours a week if they want, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Right?
That's the main thing, is at what cost. Now, was there anything that held you back from going all in when you first got started?
Yes. So my like start of my coaching business, I call it my faux launch, because it was like the first year I was picking out my brand colors for a year.
Yeah.
Picking out my logo. I was like, putting it together. And then I had this little mastermind with like 4 other people that were sort of dabbling in their business. And I was kind of like leading it with my friend, and we would meet, and really none of us were doing diddly squat, to be honest. I mean, I kind of was, and my friend was doing stuff, but the other ladies kind of weren't really doing it. So we were all just like talking about how we were doing our business. Like we weren't getting great results. And so like those first 2-3 years, I literally made no money. And then I like officially, when I actually got a business license and I actually got my first, like someone to pay me 100 something bucks, then it became real. So what was blocking me, honestly, was fear. I was spinning around on my niche and what my website was going to say for like 1 million years. And when I look back, it's like, did I have a lack of clarity? Yes. Did I need someone to help me? Yes. But I was really just afraid. I didn't know myself well enough. I didn't have a clue what my real gift was. And so I was just spinning around out of fear. I wasted a lot of time.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing something, but I wasn't doing anything.
It's a lot of busy work, hey?
Busy work. Oh my God. I had 3 websites. Made a website. Oh, I scratched that. Made another one, scratched that. And I paid people to do this. And then I was like, not happy with it. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, looking back now, right? Like, mind you, I probably wouldn't find it funny. A couple years ago, I would have been like, oh yeah, that's making lots of progress. Like when you're picking colors and stuff, right? But right now you tell me that, I gave me a giggle there. Yeah.
Well, and if I talk to someone who's new in coaching, they might perceive me as not being as nice, but I'm like, look, I care about your success because I was there, and I'm telling you, you need to stop. Don't pay $5,000 for a website. You don't even know who you are or what the hell you're doing. That's not good.
Yeah.
And it's a little harsh, and I don't like to burst people's bubble, but it's like, it's not right if I don't say it, because I have so much, perspective.
Yeah.
And they don't, and they might not like to hear it, but
in my opinion, you put that a little nicely, because I once told one of my students, stop doing stupid shit. You don't need to do that. I just said that straight up.
I need to be more like that sometimes and just say,
Yeah.
And the people who get it, who really get it, they'll be like, okay, you're right. And someone who really they don't know it either. So I have so much compassion, because they don't know that they're not ready to see it.
Yeah.
They don't know that they're just really a preemie baby, and they're they really need to probably go do a lot of personal development first. This isn't me being on a high horse like I'm so evolved, because I'm just a regular person. I've done a lot of personal development, but I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying they need to clear a lot of their stuff personally, because starting a business is it's like standing naked in front of the world.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're not really ready to do that, it's going to bring up all your stuff. So it's a lot more safe to like work on your website or pick colors, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What has been the best advice you've ever received?
Gosh, best advice I've ever received. You know, this is like going to be really cliche, like super, because every coach will tell you this. But the best advice is about your daily mindset practice. I know that's like everyone probably says the same thing, but that's what it is. I mean, if we started the call that way, if you don't do that, then you're really like driving I don't know, like you're driving a bus and you don't have a map. You know what I'm saying? You don't know where you're going. If you don't wake up in the morning and claim where you're going and what you're going to do and what you're going to create and how it's going to feel, and if you're not intentionally creating that every day, you're just driving aimlessly, and that is bad. Like that's just bad. It's devastating if you don't know where you're going and you don't claim where you're going. You're just bobbing along, you know. It's just not good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So do you have like a personal habit that's very conducive to your success?
Well, that's a good segue. That would be the personal habit. So I just explained that. So I'm going to give you a different one, but that's definitely mindset work every day. My personal habit, though, what I think is my key to success is, I use this phrase a lot because a mentor of mine used to always say it, being like a dog on a bone. I have a personal habit of like laser focusing on my goal and literally being relentless about it. And that doesn't mean that I don't take a week off or I don't get blocked, and then I might take my foot off the pedal a little bit, but I don't ever like fully stop. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a quitter. I might temporarily have a setback, but I'm always still driving, if that makes sense. Like I never just throw in the towel. I mean, there's some cases in life you need to throw in the towel, but I mean, when something's important to you and it matters, that's just something about me. And I do think it's why I've been successful, because I have an obsessive mindset in that way. And I think most really successful people, they have like this obsession around their goals. I mean, I can tell that you're like that too. It's like, you know, you don't stop. It's like, even when it's not showing up in the external world, even when it looks like if you go plant a garden and you put the seed and you put the dirt and you keep watering and you don't see shit, right? You don't see anything.
Yeah.
You know it's going to bloom. You know the sprout is going to come up. So that's my habit, is just fixating on the fact that I know it's going to sprout and it's going to bloom. And so I don't care what the external is showing me. It's also could be a double-edged sword sometimes when you don't stop things that you need to, that aren't working for you. So you have to be careful when you have that kind of mindset. But as far as being successful in business, it's really a good quality to be relentlessly focused on the outcome that you want, because you'll always find a way. Could take you a year, it could take you 5 years, but you will get there for the sheer fact that you didn't stop.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
But if you give up and, oh, that didn't work. That's not in my vocabulary. I mean, it's more like, well, how can I make it work? How can it work? Well, what else can work?
Yeah.
You know?
It's a very simple mindset shift, really. It's such a small shift, but it makes a huge difference, right? Like, because look at it this way. You give up today, now that's permanent. Trying to fix something, trying to get over a struggle, that's all temporary, right? You keep moving forward, that's temporary. But if you give up today, you wake up tomorrow, you're still in the same place. You struggle today, the sun will rise up tomorrow, and it's a new day. You can keep working on it. Right. So yeah. So what do you have on the go these days? What's something you're super excited about?
So at this moment, we are planning our retreat for our mastermind members. We're going to be at this house, a lake house on Lake Travis in Austin. And I'm really excited. We were just talking with all the ladies about what we're going to be doing. And the thing is, we do a lot with business strategy and copy and messaging and, you know, certain types of funnels and things like that. All of that can be done on Zoom. So what I'm excited about is when we get together and we do the retreats, it's not super businessy. There might be a little bit we do around sales mindset. There might be some messaging things, but it's what we're really doing is like the internal work as it relates to those things. And that excites me the most because it's just pure transformation. You walk out of there like you're a different person than when you arrived. That to me is the most fun because I can do some of that over Zoom, but you know, when you're in person with someone,
it's all different.
There's nothing that could take the place of being in person with your clients or family, friends or whatever. Like there's nothing else on the planet that could take the place of that. You can't get it from Facebook. You can't get it from Zoom. So it's something as an online entrepreneur that doesn't happen all the time, but we're kind of more on a regular schedule now of like quarterly in-person type of things. And so, yeah, that's just like what is lighting me up at the moment is being able to see their faces and their tears and their ahas and all that stuff.
Yeah, this is probably going to be weird. I'm a hugger. So why I love live events, because these people that I get to chat with on Facebook, the guests that I get to chat with via Zoom, I get to see them. And the first thing I do is hug them. It's like, oh, you're a real human being. This is awesome. Yeah.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It is cool. A couple of them I'll be meeting for the first time. So a couple of them will be the second time. But yeah, that is a cool phenomenon. It's like, you're real. You know? That's awesome. It's precious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So thank you for hanging out with us. I really do appreciate it. You hopped out and you dropped major value. And I really do appreciate it. So thank you. But before we hop out, give us a parting piece of guidance. What's that one message you want to leave with us here today?
Oh, so what I really want to leave with everyone is that when you serve at your highest level, you have full permission to receive at your highest level. No apologies, no explaining. When you're truly in your gift, anything is possible. Anything you want to create is 100% possible. Wow. And it's fun. Wow. It's more fun that way.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
And thank you so much again for giving us your time and hopping out, hanging out with us here. And guys, thank you so much for sharing this experience with me. I love you guys. Appreciate you. Keep the hearts, the likes, the shares, and the comments coming in. Hey, if you have any questions for Jessica or myself, drop them in the comments, and then we will respond to them as we see them. If you're listening from YouTube or the podcast, hit subscribe. And then drop us some comments and some reviews. You know, let us know what your biggest takeaway is. She dropped a major value here tonight, so it's quite impossible to not have a huge takeaway, because I know I did, right? So anyway, I didn't mean to tell you that, but anyway, guys, we're gonna hop out and like I said, keep the hearts, the likes, the shares, the comments coming in. Make sure to turn on live notifications if you're watching from Facebook Live. Other than that, you guys have an amazing day, have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you on the next episode of Entrepreneur in the Spotlight. Bye guys.